Hello and welcome to Gierok Farms. We got a short video for you guys. I'm gonna give you guys an update here on the Oliver. If you've been following the channel, you know that we've been having problems with this tractor here. This winter we went to work on the transmission. That project went really well. We had to replace one of the forks in there, but then we came across a problem with the engine when we went to change oil. It looked kind of milky, so then we were on edge. We were thinking, oh, it might be some condensation. Then we went to change oil, and then we watched it, and it got milky right away again on us. So then we knew, hey, we got a problem. We got coolant getting in the oil. We got some engine trouble. And now we've been trying to figure out how major it is, what's going on. Do we have a cracked block? Do we have a head gasket that went out? Are the O-rings out? You know, are we gonna need new sleeves and pistons, things like that? How in depth are we gonna have to go when it comes to rebuilding this motor? The problem has been just figuring out what exactly we got going on. We've been doing some research. If you guys have been paying attention, you've probably seen the video where we went to Tractor Doctors up there in Rock Falls, Wisconsin, and he was super helpful. We went there and we priced out two different used engines if we wanted to go that route, but I'm kind of leaning towards that our block and our engine is in really good shape, and you're kind of taking a gamble on used engines. So here we are looking into more things. We've had our oil pan off now for a while, and you guys probably seen in one of the videos where that was looking super milky. And thanks to all you guys that have been keeping up with this. You've been leaving comments, giving your ideas of what to check for and things to look for, and I've been asking around. So any of you who have left comments or gave your opinion or that have answered my questions on social media, I really appreciate it, because it's helped us narrow some things down, and it's kind of, we haven't necessarily found the problem yet. If it wasn't spring and I wasn't so busy off the farm, I wish this would have happened in November. We probably would have dug into some more stuff here, maybe, you know, pulled some more stuff apart here, but we're kind of in limbo here as spring's approaching here, and we're gonna have planting. My off-farm job's busy. Cows are gonna be grazing, haying soon here. As for what I've been actually doing here today, I bought a pressure tester. There's a lot of people recommending that I do a pressure test on this machine. So first we pulled the oil pan off, then we seen, yeah, for sure we got a problem. And we were kind of looking for drips. There wasn't a super obvious spot. You couldn't see which piston was leaking, or if there was a crack somewhere where it was getting by the sleeve or whatever, you know. We couldn't, there wasn't an obvious, oh my God, that's where that's coming from. So next best thing here, next test was a pressure test. And you guys let me know if I'm doing this right. This is just a cheap farm store pressure tester, like a kit or whatever. So I sealed our cap, and I had to seal it special with an O-ring to make it work, but got it to seal and pressurized. Did that this morning. Wasn't seeing anything. You know, if you had a leak, that gauge should drop slowly right away. If you had a really bad leak, it should drop super fast. And my thoughts were that when I pressurized it, I would see oil coming out of the bottom by the oil pan around one of the pistons or one of the sleeves, or, you know, I'd see there'd be a more obvious area of where to look, because when we initially pulled the oil pan off, it was just a complete mess under there, and we didn't know where it was running from, and it was hard to trace down the problem. So now it's been drip and dry for probably a month at this point. I went to do the pressure test, wasn't getting anything. Then I was like, well, maybe I ain't got enough coolant in there. So I topped it off on coolant, did the test again. It's been sitting here now under pressure for, has to be 5-6 hours is my guess, since this morning, since I tested it. So let's look under there together again. But just looking at my cardboard that I have there, that's looking more just like oil. It's not looking like coolant. We also cranked it over a couple times because we were like, well, maybe it's, you know, maybe it's not in the correct position where it would lose coolant. So now looking up in here, I'm not seeing a super obvious, hey, here it is. I thought talking to people, maybe I'm not pressure testing it right, or maybe it's not a super obvious, but I was under the impression that once I pressurized the system that we would get some obvious, like, oh, here it's leaking here. And I'm not necessarily getting that. And I can imagine maybe I gotta start taking more stuff off, like the oil pickup here. Maybe I gotta pull that off, or the clamps on the camshaft going to the pistons. Maybe I gotta do that, but I don't think that's something I would want to do until we know we're doing a rebuild, because I imagine you gotta torque those just perfect. It's pretty easy to see our end two and our front two cylinders are relatively easy. It's our center two it's fairly hard to see what's going on, but there's no real obvious, like, hey, here it's dripping or anything like that. So I'm sure there's some of you watching that could tell me what's going on, and I'd appreciate it if you let me know in the comments. I'm under the impression where if I put pressure to it like this, and we even cranked it over a couple times, you know, we unplugged the distributor. We weren't throwing spark at it, but just cranked it over so that camshaft moved a revolution or whatever, and we didn't lose any pressure here. If anything, maybe half a PSI. I was right around that 17, maybe 18 this morning when I left it. So I'm kind of confused. Maybe I'm not pressure testing it right. Let me know in the comments. This is, like I said, it's just, this is my best guess at pressurizing the system. I would have thought with how much coolant we had in the oil this winter when we checked it after we changed oil, that it'd be coming out of there pretty quick and pretty obvious. So does that mean that maybe it could be the head gasket, or could it still be the O-rings, but it's maybe a gasket or an O-ring that isn't too far gone yet to where it needs to get really hot, but you'd still think with the pressure test there would be enough pressure behind that to push past that and start leaking again? Or is it one of them deals where, yeah, it's got to get really hot and it's got to expand and contract and then it's going to leak? Because on that new oil that we put in this winter, there wasn't very much time on that. There was maybe an hour on that. So that's pretty misleading. And then in my eyes, doing that, you'd think if we had a cracked block or something, right away it would have started leaking, you know, where that crack was. As of right now, with my guess, I'm feeling pretty happy that it probably isn't something major like that, having a cracked block. Otherwise, you'd think it would come just pouring out of there once you put pressure to it. Or is it one of them deals where this engine is built in a way to where doing a pressure test, you still won't have oil to every orifice and every spot in the engine. So maybe where it is leaking, we don't have coolant there because we let it sit and drip for such a long time. There was still coolant in there though. After this, you know, this month of sitting here, I maybe added like half a quart, if that. That's part of why I'm making this video, is maybe get some more questions here if doing this pressure test might have narrowed it down for some of you guys, and maybe I'm not putting enough pressure to it, or maybe we got something else going on. Maybe it is something simpler like a head gasket. Fingers crossed. But yeah, some more stuff I've been doing to update you guys. I've kind of priced out with 2 different engine shops near us what it would take to get an engine like this rebuilt, and they were kind of thinking that 8 to 12 range. And that's just a huge ballpark, because maybe we got something simple here where it's not going to take a lot. Maybe we're not going to need new sleeves and pistons and things like that. Maybe it's something simpler where we can get away with just placing some gaskets and some O-rings. Here's the financer. He just walked in here. I was updating these guys on what we've been finding with this tractor, and I've been telling them about the research that I've been doing and thanking them for the comments. But now I'm quizzing them on what's going on. Why am I doing something wrong with this pressure test, or do we have less of a problem than we think now that?
Well, it's like for almost 2 weeks it's been dripping out of there, probably about half a gallon worth of, and looking at that oil, antifreeze.
But when it was sitting here dripping, did you add a bunch of coolant
No,
all
I
the time?
haven't had nothing here.
And I was just telling them when I did the pressure test, I maybe added maybe like half a quart, if that, and that was like to make it overflow, like full.
We know something's getting in there, but I'm thinking we're probably going to take off the head and just see what that looks like. But I guess we got to just figure out who's going to take this motor and rebuild it, whichever way it needs to go. Because I think we got a good cam, we got a good crank, and I don't think there was really some serious damage done on it.
I think we caught it early enough, and
because I never overheated it. You know, I never had it where it was boiling or anything like that. I'm the only guy that's been, you know, around this thing the whole time. So I'm thinking we got a good motor to salvage. I mean, somewhere down the line, whether we find one that's decent, eventually somebody's gonna have to overhaul a motor somewhere. And then we know we got a good one for years and years and years, so.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're leaning towards, is that we'd probably end up taking it to one of these motor shops and have them just go through it and rebuild it. But we don't want to, at the same time, when something's good, we don't want them just throwing new parts in there. Because who's to say even these aftermarket parts are going to be good and you know,
better than what's already in there if they needed to get replaced at all. So I guess we got, you know, a lot of times it's even good to get the old parts back or just have them save them so they can show you what they know. I mean, I think if they're a good company, they're going to be a little careful about that. Just trying to, you know, make money that they shouldn't have to make on you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna still keep reaching out to people. I'm gonna still reach out to some of you that have been commenting. I know we've had some comments where someone was like, "Well, I'll rebuild it," but they're kind of far away.
Yeah, we got to get something local here because I don't think it's that. It ain't gonna take us much to get this out of here and take it somewhere. It's just we got to get to a respectable place, and some of these places are backed up quite a while.
And that too, and then we got with a local shop, we gotta see if if it's a lot cheaper if we take it out. Labor-wise, if we take the engine out and bring it there, or if they want the whole tractor there, all them factors.
What do you take off? What do you leave on it? Are they going to want to have to get this thing running?
Yeah.
Or are they just,
And to find a place that would warranty it, which is also hard. This is hard to warranty something this old. And
I think if they go through it themselves, I think they would be something. At least initially.
Even if it was like a month and like a 10-hour warranty or something simple.
Like
obviously, the more the better, but if we could get a little bit of a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, it's a used machine, but that's the price you pay. It's like buying a good used car from a dealer versus buying it from somebody in your area. Well,
yeah, you'll get a better deal on the private sale, but you take a lot more risk.
Right, and you're gonna get some kind of warranty with a dealer, but you're gonna have to pay more to get that assurance that in case something goes wrong, you can trade up again or something. So it's more just figuring it out which direction to go. It's not that we're gonna learn something.
Yeah, so hopefully this update video might narrow it down for some of you experts out there. So leave plenty of comments about that. I'm confused doing the pressure test here. I thought I'd see more coolant running out somewhere, or just even if it was dripping somewhere, I thought I would have seen it. But
because now since today you ain't really got anything.
No, that's more or less just the oil.
Because we did take off the wire here and then just cranked it with the starter a little bit, just to roll it around a little bit, see if it would start doing something again. So.
Yeah,
but we got antifreeze in there that we know, so we're gonna have to get something looked at. And like you said, if we do it soon, we do it before there's too much damage. I don't think this may not be nearly as big of an issue as we thinking.
Thought, or.
And if it is, then we're doing the right thing by going further.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a bit of an update for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the comments and all the help. You guys have been really nice to us, and it's a good feeling to at least get a bunch of ideas from you guys, and not because I would have had no idea. We initially just thought it was the head, and we probably would have ripped the head off. But having you guys were like, well, it might be leaking out the bottom, and check that.
Well, we did start someplace, but that's just it. I've never done motor work. I got a brother that's done motor work on different stuff, but. That's the thing, it's kind of a little more Greek to us. And then even if we do tear it apart, then we don't have the resources. We might have to take pieces of it in anyway. And
we can't machine a block.
No, I mean, that's the thing. And I think it's better if they just, get it and do it right. Because then you got something. What do you buy for $8,000-10,000 anymore for, you know, a tractor or any kind of farm equipment? Then you got something. You can barely buy a lawnmower for those kind of monies anymore.
Yeah.
So this thing should be good forever if we do it right. That's the key. We want to do it right.
Yep. We hope it all works out. We'll keep updating you along the way, but thank you all for watching. Make sure to check out our other videos, our social media pages, all that fun stuff, if you want to stay up to date on what we're doing and what's going to happen with the tractor. So we'll see you in the next one.